Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'll be talking to Timi Edwin. Timi Edwin was diagnosed with sickle cell at the tender age of 1. Her mother, as well, also suffers from sickle cell. Sadly, passed away at the tender age of 60. Life was difficult for Timi, growing up in a household where her mum had sickle cell, and did she. But you know what? What inspired Timi was the love that got from her mother, from her family. They kept inspiring her to keep doing better. They enforced that love overcomes all challenges. My conversation with Timi would be focusing on challenges of people who live with a chronic illness, especially one like sickle cell, and growing up in a country like Nigeria, where the infrastructure for healthcare is still at its bottom stages. She'll be telling me about these challenges she's faced, the bullying challenges of being in school, where she's been identified as a sick child and tried to hide it from people, the stereotype she's faced with work, and how she's looked around this and overlooked it to become a successful entrepreneur. Timi is a successful entrepreneur managing many businesses in Nigeria. She'll be telling us what led her and where she found the joy to do these things. And also, she runs a foundation, a charity that helps other individuals who are living with sickle cell. Meet Timi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Polish Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. I've got the amazing Timi and Timi Edwin, is right?
Yes, yes.
An amazing name.
Thank you.
So honored to talk to you, really, because like myself, we go to HBSS. Are you HBSS or
Yes,
HBS?
I'm HBSS.
Yes. And one of my biggest motives in life is that I want to understand how people with sickle cell deal with the challenge. And you coming on board to tell me your story is something I'm so honored to hear. Before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about who is Timi.
Well, okay, Timi is, she's a young woman. Yes, a young woman in her 30s who lives with sickle cell. I was born with sickle cell. I also had a loved one who lives with sickle cell. So I had the experience of also taking care of a loved one living with sickle cell. But she just passed away. Um, yeah, she was my mother actually. So I was born to a mother who lives with sickle cell, and I don't want to say that. According to her, she said that she fell pregnant, without knowing the genotype of my father at that time. Even before they got married, it was as a result of me coming into fusion that he decided to do the honorable thing and get married to her. And when she found out that I had sickle cell, she was completely devastated because she had already lived through the experience. And in short, it was when she got pregnant that she thought to ask him about his genotype, and then she found out he didn't know his genotype. So she spurred him to find out about his genotype. And then when I was born, they had to wait till I was 1 years old to do my genotype test. They did it and found out that I had sickle cell. So she felt really bad, but she decided to help me as much as she possibly could. So she poured herself into me, poured a lot of resilience, strength, and a lot of things that we as warriors, have. A lot of attributes that we as warriors have. Well, that aside, apart from my birth story, I currently am an entrepreneur. I just resigned. Well, I resigned about over a year ago from a 12-year. I mean, I had been working in across different industries for 12 years. At that time, I was working with the Irish consulate, and that's the last job that I did before I resigned. I run Crimson Bowl Sickle Cell Initiative. I also run an organization called Abilink Nigeria Limited. The organization has an interior decoration arm and also a supermarket arm. So I'm running both stores. Yes, I have a farm, so I can say I'm a farmer, quote unquote. I am a film producer as well. Um, so yes, I just like I have the ambition to become like Dangote, So I want to have like multiple streams of income, multiple investments, and that's what I'm currently working towards. It's not really easy. I will not lie. Entrepreneurship is hard. Sometimes I feel like running back to being employed and being told, but I'm enjoying the journey so far. And yes, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
You know what? Timmy, I'm just thinking, I'm like, wow, where do I start? You are you're someone I'm really inspired by. I think this is
Thank you.
when I saw your story, when I read your bio, I thought to myself, she's someone a lot of people need to know about. Someone who is not scared of her challenge. All right, let me go back to your initial beginning.
Okay.
So when your mom living with sickle cell, right, are you the only sibling?
Yeah, so I have two other siblings, but they are AS.
Okay. So when your mom found out, okay, she found out that she has sickle. How did she overcome dealing with sickle cell in her own days? Because I mean, people with sickle cell at that time, I'm sure they were not encouraged to get married or even have kids. Was hers severe sickle cell, or how did she get through it and even find the strength to go on to have three of you guys?
Okay. Yes, my mom um was born in an era where sickle cell was very difficult, and she had a very difficult um, lifetime. Or albeit, I mean, we could look back and say she did well, but it was very difficult. I remember she telling me that she had siblings. She had six other siblings, and they all always meant to play, but she was not allowed to play. She was constantly chastised for trying to act normal, act like a regular child. They were always taunting her. So when they'll mimic her and say, because she used to, when she's in pain, she may hold her hand and say her hand is paining her and all that. And then when she's all right, they'll hold their hand and be mimicking her and say, you know, before you go and start saying your hand is spinning you, your leg is spinning you, your back is spinning you. So those kind of words used to hurt her. But she grew up also with love. I mean, she and her siblings were equally close. There was a time in her life where after she had me and then she had my younger brother, she was paralyzed for 2 years. She couldn't move. Coming out of that was nothing short of a miracle. She's had time. She had to miss a lot of school then. In short, it's a surprise that she finished with a BSc. She missed a lot of exams. She wasn't getting married, so she got married. She fell pregnant, and the plan was to keep her baby.
Yeah.
She wasn't thinking, because she had a lot of disappointments maritally, people that want to get married to her but will just leave her, maybe because of their parents and disapproving, or they themselves just getting scared. So when she got fell pregnant, everybody told her that she could not carry the child to term, that she didn't just have the capacity. But
Yeah.
she was just stubborn and said, you know what, if this is the only child I will ever have in my whole life, I'm going to keep and nurture this child, which is why she kept me. Because everyone was like, even when she got married to my dad, before my dad decided to marry her, she everyone was like, just abort the baby, you don't have the strength, to carry a child to term. So when she had me, you know they also said, okay, you know what, just stop at this child,
That's
and just stop, adopt if you can. But adoption was not really accepted back in those days. It wasn't really accepted back in those days. So she did a lot of things out of, let's say, stubbornness or determination, you know. Yes, she had a career. So that's who she was also equally very hardworking and enterprising.
yeah.
So that's who I probably emulate a lot of my entrepreneurship attributes from, and, drive from. She even when after she got married and she had us, there were a lot of other challenges thrown at her. She died of kidney disease. She lived to age 60. She died at age 60. Um, I remember when we first found out she had kidney disease. She was diagnosed at stage 4, which was pretty much like the worst. She needed a kidney transplant, but she ended up living 3 more years. And in short, at some point, she decided to change her. She did things like changing her nutrition, um, doing a lot of research. She started to do a whole lot of research. She changed her complete lifestyle, and then she started to get better from stage 4 to 3 to 2. But at some point, she just got tired, and then because sometimes it's a bit difficult going on with a particular type of lifestyle diet. Like she couldn't eat beef, she couldn't eat a lot of things anymore, and that became a bit difficult and overwhelming for her. I knew towards the end of her life she was always in constant pain, and I think I would probably say that if she wanted to keep living, she probably have. But
Yeah.
I think she resigned.
Did the sickle cell have an effect on her towards the end? Did the sickle cell play effect apart from the kidney problem she had?
Um, I would say, kidney disease in itself, it's a major side effect or thing of from sickle cell. So yes, she had a lot of crisis. She was always hospitalized. I remember that at some point she had to be transfused every week. Then it became better to every 2 weeks. Then it became better to every month. She had to live on. In short, her doctor was now like a family member. She had to see the doctor constantly and regularly. So yes, it had that effect. It had the effect on her finances too,
Yeah.
or our finances as a family, because we had to invest a lot into her health.
Yeah.
It had an effect on, she couldn't really work much anymore. Her mobility was affected. Oh, that reminds me, at some point in her life, she had AVN and she survived that. She did a hip replacement and in short, her recovery was so fast. So she's actually been through she had been through a whole lot, with regards to sickle cell. And the kidney disease would probably not have come to play if not for all the medication she's taken over the years
Yes.
that finally affected her
I think
kidneys.
that's a big issue with sickle cell is that people don't talk about the medicine and medication we've been on and the consequences of that over the years. It's no, even with myself, it's now I've started to realize the damages I've done to my kidney from the amount of morphine and all the tablets I've taken over the years. Coming back to you, Timi, you're a fascinating girl in the sense that you've done so much and you've not let sickle cell define you. How have you overcome those challenges of living with sickle cell but still managing to be as normal as you are today by setting up an organization, being an entrepreneur, have worked in a various jobs as well? So you weren't even afraid to do normal jobs. You said I'll take those on, but you're now living not even braver to go start your own entrepreneurship. How do you balance that? How did you let that get do all of these things?
Okay. So at the beginning, I mean, I was surrounded with love. So I didn't really know what sickle cell. I mean, I knew that I was always taking to hospital, but it wasn't a big deal because everybody showed me love. The reality didn't dawn on me until I got into secondary school. And so for some funny reason, so in Nigeria, they have punishment. They always punish people for wrongdoing. And I hadn't done this assignment. I was particularly good girl, so don't know why this happened. I was punished for an assignment. I was flogged and then I fainted. And then that was when, because I fainted, everybody was curious, why did she faint? And then they found out that, oh, she has sickle cell, she really can't be flogged or, you know. And at that point, everyone knew. And because so it had its good side and its bad side. People knowing means all the adults in my school then showing me love and all that, but also meant all the students not understanding why I got the attention. And then they started to bully me and taunt me and call me all sorts of things. They thought I was spying for the principal. They thought I was just, giving unnecessary favor. They didn't understand that most times when I had to go away, I was in the sick bay. So I was in the sick bay a lot. From the sick bay, they had to rush me to the hospital a whole lot. But my classmates didn't understand at that time that my absence was not favoritism, but because I had to be away, And so, having been bullied, it had a psychological toll on me. I started to feel very ugly. Then I had a really slow development. So I'm smallish, but then I was extremely small. Like I wasn't just growing. And all my classmates were huge and big and everything. I was like, why am I not developing like with my classmates? And then they used to use that to taunt me as well. They'll call me all sorts of things like rats, or they'll say, why are you flat chested? Or things like that. And so that really had like a heavy burden on me. And I used to be like, why me? Why am I sick? Why am I not shown? Am I not accepted by my classmates? And then I remember at that time when my mom had tried everything she could possibly do to show me love and to show me care and to make me get out of it. She had to face me one day and tell me that this life is not easy. You will have to face your battles. You have to face whoever your position at some point. You can't keep running home to cry every single day, which was my reality at that time. So that sunk in, but I didn't understand. Even though it sunk in, it did something to me. But I didn't understand how to apply that in my life until much later. So I went through my whole school, from even university. I was extremely timid because I couldn't look anybody in the eye. I couldn't, I was just so shy. I felt like I was not enough, you know. I felt like I had a disability or I had a plague. And it didn't help matters that I went through a lot in university as well because of my health. And so I just felt like forsaken, like I had all the problems in this world. But when I left university, I had to speak to myself one day, like, you can't continue to live like this. You either live a life that is meaningless, absolutely meaningless. You either keep going around with no meaning, or you do the opposite. So which do you choose? And obviously everybody wants to succeed or make a meaning of their life. So I chose to make a meaning of my life. So I had to tell myself that one thing you have to address is your timidity. You have to embrace boldness. Fake it until you have it. So I started faking a lot, even up to date. I fake courage. So there are some situations I face that I'm shy. I just want to hide under my blankets. But I have to pretend like I'm bold. But I find out that it flows, because when you meet people with boldness, when you request for things, when you request for your rights, when you don't allow people to push you over, they sort of won't. How you decide, how you demand people to respect, to treat you, is how they will treat you. And so when I started working, my first during NYC, fortunately, I got a very good organization to serve with, and so I got standard training. My first boss, my first bosses refused to treat me like I had sickle cell. So even though I had a lot of off days, like not going to school, work, um, I also try to make up for it when I'm at work. So my boss at that time used to be, in short, I never even told, sickle cell was not an excuse, but I was just like, I'm so young, I don't have experience. Why are you treating me like this? Why do I have to work so hard? And then she'd be like, please, that's not something to help. Yes. So I'll say my foundation, my foundation, or my first experience, sort of molded me into becoming, realizing that, look, it's hard work or nothing. I mean, so another thing is I've also learned to pace myself, also learned to do other things. Okay, my health may fail at some point, but because another thing is I also learned to warm myself into the hearts of everyone I worked with. So they always just fell in love with my personality. And then also it helped the fact that I worked hard. So when I'm not at work, they are more empathetic. In short, a lot of times they used to come to see me in the hospital with hampers. They never did that for any other person. But yeah, I got this kind of, like, say, favor, with my bosses. And that just sort of helped with life. Now I've had challenges in other areas. Yes. Like I've almost gotten married before. I mean, at that time I was 28. I was engaged to be married. Before I was short, the first thing I told the guy when the things were getting serious was, this is my genotype. What's yours? And he was very nervous. So he was even more nervous than I was. We found out that he was AA, and then we decided to date. 2 years down the line, he proposes. And then for some funny reason, he withdraws. And I start asking him questions. I was like, why? He didn't give anything specific. So one day he just blotted out that, look, I can't deal with this sickle cell. I really just can't. And I was like, oh wow. But you didn't know all this while that we we were together, we were doing things. What makes you think, so that was like a breaking point for me. I reached rock bottom at that point. In short, at that time, I couldn't hold a job. I had to resign from my job because I was just emotionally distraught. So I remember for a whole year just doing nothing but crying in my room. I was broke and I was just crying. So it was a horrible combination. And I remember at that time, thanks to the support system I had, I confided with a few friends. And my friends go-getters. So one of my friends one day just said, you know what? The reason why you just keep crying every day is because you have nothing to do. You need to start something. And I remember I was like, oh, what can I start? So I started to ask other people for opinion. And then a friend who already knew my story and why I was so heartbroken was like, to me, you have sickle cell, you have a story, why don't we start a blog? and that's how Crimson Bowl. In short, it was Crimson Bowl NG at that time. So it was a WordPress thing, and we just started putting information out there, and then we started to grow. We started to maybe get some mileage. People started to send us emails and all that. Then I found out that a lot of people needed help, and so for our first year anniversary, we thought that it would be a good idea to visit hospitals
Mm.
and pay hospital bills for people living with sickle cell. But
Mm.
at that time, we decided not to even go to any private hospital. We thought that people that can't afford it will be in general hospitals, in public hospitals, government hospitals. And you'll be shocked to find out that we combed um, all the state hospitals, all the hospitals owned by the government, and
Mm.
there was not one sickle cell person there. And this got me really shocked. Like, I know there are people living with sickle cell out here. Are you telling me that there's nobody living with sickle cell? So I reached out to somebody else, Auntie Tonya Adeshola. I'm not sure. I don't know if you know her. I reached out to her. Then she had an NGO. She also runs an NGO. So I reached out to her and asked her if she had any beneficiaries that we could donate to or had medical issues. And she gave us a few beneficiaries. It was on the visit to one of these beneficiaries that I found out that people are sick but they are home. People are sick. They can't even afford transportation to the hospitals. Not talk of hospital bills. A lot of people are just, that was the case. And so we didn't really actually start out to have an NGO, but at some point, after helping so many people, we had to structure things
Mm.
and put things in structure. We had to register formally. We had to, and then 5 years down the line, here we are. We have
Wow.
beautiful projects and all that.
Wow, no, no, that's an amazing story because I mean, there's so many people out there. You know, you've managed to overcome the challenges of living with sickle cell, the pain that it causes. How, seeing others, is there still a big challenge today in Nigeria for people living with sickle cell?
Oh, yes. There's a big challenge. Big challenge. Um, Personally, I would even say that the healthcare is not up at par. It's not. I would even talk personally now. So before I used to think that general hospital was pretty decent to send anybody to. Then my mom passed. She actually she so there was before she passed, she was in one hospital. We took her to like three different hospitals in the space of her illness. The final hospital was a general hospital. They didn't attend to her early enough. If they had attended to her as soon as we took her there, or they had attended to her even within 30 minutes of when we took her there, she wouldn't have passed. Even 1 hour. I remember running around for 1 hour begging and crying and asking doctors to just come and see my mom and do whatever they can to her. But they were just so lackadaisical about it. The healthcare is poor. Is it that they are inexperienced, or the resources are just not available, or they give very poor treatment? And that's the case with the hospitals in Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's aside. So now imagine us. It's not like we could not afford better health care, but because that was like our final bus stop, they are supposed to have all the equipment needed. But here they are treating patients like that. After she passed, I started having health challenges, maybe because of my emotions or whatever. I didn't know where to go to. I went to several hospitals, and then I went to general hospital. I found a fantastic hematology at general hospital, but absolutely no resources. Imagine having to wait 2 hours to see a doctor, and you're going there with an emergency, you're going there with a crisis. So there was a particular time I was so ill that I had to leave. So imagine leaving a hospital because nobody's just attending to you, and then I had to just go somewhere else. And it's a in Nigeria we have to teach the doctors
What?
how to treat us, what
Yes.
to do,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be. It should be the other way around. I should be extremely confident in the fact that my life is safe. You're not giving me the wrong medication. You know, you're
Yeah.
not depriving me of morphine or pentazocine or something like that. So
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, wow. So, yeah, it's still a challenge. So, your final advice to people, because I'm looking at you and I'm so impressed with how no matter what life is thrown at you, you found your joy. And one other thing I take away from you is your courage. You're such a courageous person. From what when life threw you down, you found that courage. What would be your word of wisdom, word of warning to anyone else that's going through sickle cell pain right now, but not knowing how to come out of it? One, you've had your mom's passed away and you've been able to come out of this. You've had someone reject you because of your sickle cell. you've had all these things, but see, you're still strong and still standing. Timmy, what would be your advice? What would be your word of wisdom to someone else out there?
Okay, I would like to say that our mental health is extremely is even more is as important as our physical health. Once we get that right, I mean, crisis become a walkover. I'm not saying crisis cannot put us in a horrible mental health, but just ensuring that you pay attention to how you think, how what the kind of thoughts you allow. So you're allowed to break down, you're allowed to be sad, but please don't be sad forever.
Hmm.
Always try to find joy, always try to seek help. If you can't do it on your own, look for someone, build a support system around you. But you see, if you've been building a support system, you have to be a support system yourself. To be able to get value from people, you have to be valuable to them as well. So offer as much value as you are being offered, to people. But please, please, please pay attention to your mental health. There's no shame in seeking help from a psychologist, or there's really no shame in that.
Yes.
And just know that every challenge, every disappointment has a time limit. Nothing lasts forever, even pain.
Timmy, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Where are you based in Nigeria? Whereabouts?
Lagos.
Lagos. I really hope one day to get to meet you one day, and
I hope so
and
too.
I'm really proud of all the work you're doing for Sickle Cell Warriors, because
Thank you.
with people like you give hope to others that people being born, people going through challenges. You're giving them so much hope, and I really inspire you to keep shining, keep doing what you're
Thank you.
doing. And thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much
much.
for sharing your story with me. I really
Thank,
appreciate this.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you, Timmy.